For centuries, cotton was grown for fabric, not for food. What remained after the fibers were taken, the seeds, were treated as useless. They piled up beside mills, rotting, burning, and contaminating rivers. In the southern United States, during the late 1800s, cottonseed was considered a problem, not a resource. Farmers didn't know what to do with it. Nature had provided abundance, but industry saw only waste. No one imagined that these discarded seeds would one day reshape kitchens, economies, and diets around the world. By the late 19th century, the world was changing rapidly. Factories expanded, cities grew. Industry demanded oils for lamps, machines, and soap. Chemists began experimenting with cottonseed, pressing it, heating it, refining it. Slowly, a pale and neutral oil emerged. By the 1890s, cottonseed oil was already being used in soaps and candles. Some manufacturers quietly blended it into lard and butter without informing consumers. It was cheaper, abundant, and effective. But people were skeptical. Eating oil derived from industrial waste felt unnatural, dangerous, untrustworthy. This created a challenge that would define the future of food. How do you convince an entire nation to eat something it never asked for? In the year 1911, the answer arrived. Procter & Gamble introduced Crisco, short for crystallized cottonseed oil. It was solid, white, odorless, and uniform. It looked pure, scientific, modern. Crisco was not sold as oil. It was sold as progress. Advertisements promised cleaner kitchens, better digestion, and longer shelf life. Unlike butter or lard, Crisco did not spoil easily. It was predictable and manufactured. Most importantly, it was marketed as healthier, though the meaning of health was still undefined. Procter & Gamble didn't just sell a product. They sold a vision of modern living. Free cookbooks replaced traditional fats with this new alternative. Doctors and home economists were cited. Science was referenced, rarely explained. As America urbanized, traditional animal fats became symbols of the past. Seed oils became symbols of the future. Then came World War I. Animal fats were diverted to military use. Butter and lard became scarce. Governments encouraged substitutes. Seed oils filled the gap. When the war ended, factories remained. Supply chains stayed intact. What began as a temporary solution became a permanent system. In the 1920s and 1930s, soybeans rose to prominence. Originally used as animal feed, soy proved ideal for oil production. High yield, low cost, easy to refine. Chemical processes removed color and odor. Oils became invisible, able to exist anywhere, in almost anything. Food was no longer just grown, it was engineered. Scientists then learned how to make liquid oils behave like solid fats through hydrogenation. Oils became more stable and shelf-ready. Waste was reduced. Efficiency increased. At the time, it was seen as progress. By the mid-20th century, seed oils were everywhere. In bread, snacks, fried foods, and packaged meals. Traditional fats were slowly pushed aside. A quiet revolution had taken place, not through force, but through habit. Science had become the new authority. If something was refined, measured, and standardized, it felt safe. But science is never final. As seed oils spread across the world, one question remained largely unasked. What happens when an entire civilization replaces ancient fats with something entirely new? The answer would not come immediately. It would take decades, and when it did, it would change everything. By the middle of the 1950s, Heart disease had become the leading cause of death in the United States. It struck suddenly and without warning. Fear spread quickly, and the public demanded answers. Why were hearts failing? And how could it be stopped? One idea gained momentum: the belief that saturated fat and cholesterol were responsible. This became known as the fat hypothesis. A scientist named Ancel Keys played a central role. In the late 1950s, he presented research suggesting that populations consuming less animal fat experienced lower rates of heart disease. The message was simple: fat was the enemy. And simplicity is powerful, especially in times of fear. By the early 1970s, this idea moved beyond science and into policy. In the year 1977, the United States released its first dietary goals, advising people to reduce animal fats and replace them with polyunsaturated fats. Seed oils fit perfectly into this new narrative. Butter was suddenly considered dangerous. Eggs were questioned. Red meat became controversial. Margarine and vegetable oils replaced traditional fats in kitchens across the country. Food companies reformulated products. Low fat and heart healthy became dominant labels. The poobah soon became the foundation of processed food. Chips, crackers, frozen meals, fast food, cheap, stable, and long-lasting. Convenience replaced tradition. But by the late 1980s, cracks began to appear. Heart disease had not disappeared. Obesity was rising. Diabetes was increasing. Some researchers revisited earlier studies and found limitations. Data had been simplified. Certain countries excluded. Correlation mistaken for causation. Then came the revelation about trans fats. Hydrogenation produced artificial fats that increased heart disease risk. By the early 2000s, trans fats were officially condemned. Trust was shaken. The public grew confused as decades of advice began to reverse. Butter slowly returned. Eggs were reconsidered. Yet seed oils remained deeply embedded in the food system. By then, they were no longer just ingredients. They were infrastructure. Entire economies depended on them. And momentum does not stop easily. If seed oils were not the miracle they were promised to be, what had decades of consumption done to the human body? The answer was already emerging. By the early 21st century, chronic illness had become common. Obesity, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, and fatigue were everywhere. People were living longer, but often feeling worse. Many began to ask a question that had long been ignored. Could food be part of the problem? Around the year 2010, the conversation shifted. The internet allowed new voices to emerge. Doctors, researchers, and everyday people began questioning seed oils and long-standing nutrition advice. They spoke about inflammation, omega-6 fatty acids, and the unprecedented quantity of refined oils in modern diets. The argument was not that seed oils were inherently toxic, but that humans had never consumed them at this scale, in this form, or with such frequency. Mainstream nutrition science responded cautiously. Many studies continued to support polyunsaturated fats. Institutions warned against oversimplification and fear-based narratives. The debate became emotional. Food transformed into identity, belief, lifestyle. To reject seed oils was, for some, to reject modernity. To defend them was, for others, to defend science. The food industry adapted. New versions of seed oils appeared. Cleaner labels, modified profiles, rebranding. At the same time, many people returned to traditional fats: butter, olive oil, tallow, avocado oil. Cooking became slower and more intentional. Results varied. Certainty remained elusive. The truth is complex. Seed oils are neither villains nor heroes. They are a tool, created for a purpose, expanded far beyond it. Context matters. Quantity matters. Processing matters. Perhaps seed oils are not the core problem, but a mirror, a reflection of a system built on speed, convenience, and abundance without limits. The story of seed oils is still being written in laboratories, in kitchens, and in bodies. The real question is no longer whether seed oils are good or bad. The question is whether we continue eating by habit or begin eating with awareness. The answer belongs to each of us. IC trusted the guidance. It came from science, and science was meant to protect.